So today we have the Hcalory Toolbox Heater, the Max version. This is the, what's this model? I'll put the model number on screen. I think this is the TB Max. I'm fairly sure the Max just means you get the bare controller and the wireless carbon monoxide / temperature controller, which lives in here. You get a little one of these with the carbon monoxide and the temperature control, so you can control the whole thing from inside your tent / camper van without needing to bring the actual controller inside. The reason we're doing this video is somebody asked, and also I was curious because if you go on the website it says lots of things like heats up in 3 minutes and uses 16% less fuel and makes less noise and whatnot. So we're going to test those things later on in the video. For this bit, we're going to do a thing where we'll just take it apart. We're going to see its insides and have a look at what it's actually constructed and how it's constructed. Right, on the outside we've got a metal U-shaped centre part and like 2 plastic end caps, end pieces. On the bottom we've also got a metal base. It sounds thicker than what the sides are made of. And I did actually quite like this feature. In fact, you know what? I'll just bring you down so you can see it. So that's your exhaust coming out, and it's a relatively short piece of exhaust this time, with the thermal wrap on it, not like the other. Do you remember the other toolbox, the Croak, Hcalory, both the same company. This was the one that came from the middle and went like that way out the front or the back, whichever way it did it on the Croak. It was a stupid way of doing it because you were blowing hot exhaust gas at your hot air output. But this time we've got it exiting via the side. I also like that the air intake is moulded into the base. It's part of the intake system. And you've got the fuel inlet there, which is coming from the pump inside. And it's plenty far away from the exhaust for that. And we've got the mounting hexes there. Now it's under that exhaust, which means you're going to have to take the exhaust off first. I can see they've got the screw, I'm going to call them Jubilee clips because they are Jubilee clips to me. Worm drive hose couplings, I think is possibly the technical term, but there's a hole down in there. You can see that you can get your screwdriver in to get that bit. So that's fine. So let us now start stripping the outsides off. There are a lot of screws on the outside to get this to come apart. Not phenomenally heavy, which is nice, even for me as a complete weakling at the moment. Oh, what have we got? So many screws. Right, I will bring you back once I have removed all of these screws. Right, that's all the screws undone. Let's see if we can get the lid off. Right, that is the fuel cap. That appears to be a silicone gaskety thing around there. Let's take out all the screws though, David. That'd be much better. There's always one. Worth noting that they're like semi-machine screw, but like the kind of sort of self-tappers. I'm curious to see what's in behind for, if I didn't have to take that fuel cap lid off. Oh, there's actually enough room to move things. Ah, it is into the, we call them speed clips, but I don't know what their technical name is. The folded metal clips that have got a threaded section on the back. So you're actually screwing your screw into threads and not just purely self-tappers into plastic. Apart from those ones. Those ones are, oh no, sorry, take it back, tell a lie, they're screwed into the metal body of the inside. Okay, right, so this bit comes off and that remote is just a standard, the triangular connector. So we can undo that and just lift that out the way, and that gets the U-shaped part of it and the controller. Right, we've got fuel tank there screwed into the main central support here. What's holding the bottom on? Can we just tip this onto its back just now? I'll just move that out of the way. I presume it's going to be these screws here and that clip there. So let's get them undone. Liking so far that all of these screws are exactly the same. So they call this a toolbox here, but it's not really toolbox shaped anymore. It's not got a lid you can open like a toolbox. It looks more like a portable power station shape than anything else. Like, is that screw doing something? Yeah, I'll just take it as well. Something inside will probably fall off now, but hey, I think I heard something fall off. Now, we should just be able to pull out that end. Nice. It's just a plastic end cap. I don't see any markings. Do I have a blade? I do have a blade. Is it glass fibre reinforced? It is glass fibre reinforced. Plastic, probably nylon. Nice, it's nice, strong and temperature resistant. Splendid. Does that also allow me to remove this side? It does indeed. The only thing at this end is that it's a power connection. How is this power connection attached? It is on the back, the other side. In there, and nice. There's a nice handy dandy power connection right there. These gears are definitely getting better. Someone's putting some thought into building them. Again, there we go. Nice, easy to take off. Glass fibre reinforced. Lovely. Sit there. And there we go. We've got... Goodbye. Marvellous. We are inside. Happy days. So if we remember on the other Croak toolbox heaters, they had super glued the heater parts together so you couldn't do that. There was basically no way of taking it apart easily, but that just came straight off and apart. Same proprietary Hcalory ECU now, because obviously they've got their fancy ECU bits with the remote control and the carbon monoxide bit. But I mean, basically that just tells the heater to turn on and off when it detects carbon monoxide. There's nothing exciting to see in the tank there. Right, so we just take the heater off and then go from there. Yeah, I think we'll just take the heater off. We could just lie this on its back. There's nothing particularly exciting to see on the outside, so we might as well get inside. I can see a fuel pump, which is actually sitting at an angle, which is quite impressive. They usually just lying there flat. This one's actually at an angle. Looks like a little stubby fuel pump. Like, oh, I'll get it out and you can see it and have a look at it. Oh, that is I see. I was going to say that's not very good, but remember that screw that I took out that I didn't think I should have taken out? It's the screw that holds the air filter. Well, it's not really an air filter, it's just to stop vermin and rodents making a nest inside your air filter. But yeah, that's in there. That's attached to that moulded air intake. It just sits in there, and that screw is what prevents it rattling about and escaping. The screw that I did not have to take out, and I could probably just put it back in just now, lest I forget and have something rattling about later on and I don't know what it is. So we'll just screw that back in just now. So that one you don't have to undo because it's just holding an air filter in place. Marvellous. Right. That bolt there, that's holding the... Oh no, it's just holding the bottom. Yes, that's holding the fuel pump in place, that one. So we take off that, get our screwdriver in, unscrew the Jubilee clip for the exhaust. We'll be able to get that apart. Oh, this is all coming apart rather easily. Sorry, I'm just keep thinking back to the Croak heater and how much of an utter pain it was to actually get it apart and to do anything to here. not a pain to say. Like, if you were doing, say for example, an annual service, all you would have to do is take the U-shape bit off. You don't even have to probably take the end caps off, because all you'll be doing is removing the glow plug bit to get into the mesh and change all that. That's as much you need to do for a service on it, is to change the glow plug and the mesh, and that's accessible without taking anything else off and apart. Yeah, you could do all that without taking it apart as far as we're going to go, but I'm going to take it apart. If I could see, I mean, I don't need to see, I can feel. I can see the Jubilee clip / worm gear screw hose connector thing. Right, that gets the exhaust off. You sit there, and then I just need a few hexes. Is it any of the ones I've pre-selected? No, of course it isn't. It's the only one you've not taken out. Of course it is, it's that one. That was a lot harder than it should have been. It was the slight bend in the fuel inlet, along with the barbed end of the fuel pipe that was trapped under this moulding here. Let me bring you in. So the fuel pipe on this here has actually got a barbed end to hold the fuel pipe on better, so your clip is going behind it and it prevents it coming off or any fuel leaking around it, and it just got trapped on the hole. Right, so this is the fancy base, the moulded base plate. I think it's aluminium. Where's my magnet thing? I keep always losing. Right, here we go. Side should be steel. Yes, side is steel. Oh, that's good. Scratching now. And the base is aluminium. Yes, or magnesium. Can't tell. It's painted. So that is there. There's where fuel pump, and it's actually on an angled mount, so it actually holds the fuel pump at an angle. I'll fish it out in a minute, because as you see, it's a little tiny short fuel pump. Where's a normal? Like, here is your typically sized fuel pump, and it is, I don't know, it's about a third smaller in size. A new fuel pump. Right, we'll fish it out, but right, first let's take the heater apart, shall we? Right, our little silicon gasket off the bottom. Put you in there, and then we can remove the heater from its housing. Boop. Set you there. Now, I have noticed where we're doing the thing again. If you remember a long time back, well, not that long, fairly long back, they made, Hcalory made a heater where this heat exchanger was ever so slightly larger than a normal heater body. Like, we're not talking much, it was like maybe 2 centimeters, 20 millimeters longer than stock, and they made a special body for it, which had a longer end plate and a bigger diameter outlet. What I've seen them now starting to do is use this longer outlet and the bigger diameter on all the normal sized heaters. Probably just to use up stock, I'll wager. I don't have a normal end, no, I do have a normal end cap here, so. This is a normal end cap from another 4 kilowatt, and this is the larger version. See, if they're in the same spot, this one sticks out further and has a much larger opening, although the heat exchanger in behind it is just the same size as every other normal 4 kilowatt heater. Yes, there are more sizes now. It used to be just a thing, there was a 2 and a 4, but now there's a 2, a 4, that weird, slightly larger heat exchanger that you can't seem to get anymore, and there's also the Eberspacher. I've got a 6 kilowatt again, it's got a bigger heat exchanger. Then there's the HLN 9 kilowatt, which I've got a video of, and it is literally a massive heater. It is giant. It's just for all the, it's a shame because there's still people out there that are obviously getting camper vans and getting and asking like, oh, should I get a 4 or an 8 kilowatt? And there aren't enough people telling them that there's no such thing as an 8 kilowatt, you're just buying a 4. And marketing. There's no amount of tuning. Oh God, we've done videos on this. I'm going off on a rant and a tangent here. There's no, you can't get 8 kilowatt out of a 4 kilowatt body. You just can't. Not with the stock controllers. Probably could get it if you built your own controller and got the fans spinning fast enough, but you just can't, the heat out of the heat exchanger is too small to put the heat out, and you're just wasting heat out of the exhaust pretending to be an 8 kilowatt. Oh, anyway, rant and tangent over. They're all 4s this size, perfectly fine, adequate 4s, just they're not 8s. Don't be calling them 8 kilowatts when they're not. Anyway, this brings us back to the body heat exchanger here. As I say, proprietary Hcalory ECU, which means not compatible with the afterburner. Right, let's take it apart. Let's get in. Let's get inside. You gonna lie still? I get this screw out. So I can already see it's got one of the metallized graphite gaskets, which is nice. It's not the normal paper ones, which is, as I say, it's a nice thing. All right, and take our ECU off and unplug the glow plug, the temperature sensor, and the fan, which is just a brushed DC 2-pole motor. It's not a brush or something like that. And on here, well, we can see there's an additional module there. That might be, see that one with a little teeny tiny hole in it. I'm sure I've been told before that's the one for measuring air pressure. So that's getting your elevation, elevation derived from air pressure, and using that to adjust the fueling to turn it on and off. I'm not sure if that diode is being used as a diode or is being used as a temperature sensor. It's strange that you would put it out there by itself and not use it for some sort of sensing. I mean, it looks like a Zener diode, but that's just what I see with my eyes, and I do not know, for I cannot see. That's just a sensor for detecting the fan RPM. Can I get this into more bits? Can we see the other side? Yes, we can. If we just undo that bit and come off of there. So here is the other side of the board. Nothing particularly exciting in there to me. It's all just, well, where's that diode? Where it's around that side. Doesn't have a marking. It's in line with the temperature sensor. Is that the temperature? Must be the temperature. Motor, temperature, glow plug. So it's in line or attached to the same circuit as that temperature sensor. So perhaps it's doing air intake temperature as well as the, not the air outtake temperature, but actually monitoring body temperature as well as air intake temperature. Right, so that's that. That's the ECU. Put its cover back on. Other way around. Yes. Right, and now that's now the wrong size. It's now this one. We will get inside. Blower motor. Nicely machined. Not smooth machine, but flat at least. Good gap on the fan. Spins nice. Yes, okay, that's perfectly adequate. As I said, metallized gasket. The graphite kind of gasket. Yep. It's nice, that'll do. Lovely. Sit that there. Oh, we've got a branded burn chamber. Thermotrans. Never heard of them. Thermotrans. Is that a date, you think? 240801 or a part number? I mean, it's in date format. Let us take out then the glow plug. typical looking glow plug, nothing exciting there. It's not a brand name, it's not a Kerosene or anything like that, but does the job. Right, that lets us take out the burn chamber. Just looking at the heat exchanger here, it's not terribly machined, there's a little bit of flashing in certain places. That housing there, it's in a bit of a ding, but that's what gaskets are for, there. Take up any slack. Right, and take out the burn chamber, or why has it got a slant? What is this? What in the devilry here have we? We've got a slant cut burn chamber. Are they putting a swirl on this when it comes out? As I say, Thermotrans, I presume they know what they're doing. I mean, look at this weld. This weld was made by a robot. Look at that. That is a precision robot weld. That's a nice cast piece. That's not just your usual flat pressed part. Here's one. Granted, that looks like it's been done by a robot as well, but basic flat plate welded onto pipe versus an actual cast piece of engineering, I suppose, because it's even been machined flat. And that's just a bit of, as I say, it's a bit of steel plate that's just had holes cut in it. That's an actual machined and part. You see the rainbows of the actual machining. That's a nice burn chamber. Right, let's see if that's your heat exchanger sitting there, and that's your, it points up the way. So their heat exchanger is in there and it's slanted, the slant cut is there. So there's more heat, so your exhaust, not your hot exhaust, but your hot gas is now coming out, and instead of just hitting the end and coming down, it's being forced almost to take a more indirect route. Perhaps their claim of more efficient and more heat is actually going to be true when we test it. That's interesting. Yeah, because that angle there, because that's the glow plug up there, yeah, your cut is basically, it's maybe slightly to the left, but it's basically going to be pointing up rather than straight at the end piece, so more heat's going to be focused up in this area, which means it has to have a more indirect path back to the exhaust hole, which is down in there, for people that don't know where the exhaust is. Going by the colours of things, this heater has never run, so it hasn't left the factory tested. The heat exchanger, it looks like it's run. It's got maybe it's been run so well there's just no carbon anywhere, because it is spotless inside. I mean, it's still shiny. It's spotless in there. But perhaps it ran briefly, or the heat exchanger ran briefly, or is that just discoloration from welding? Perhaps it's never run. Nah, inside the heat exchanger's got scorch marks. The inside's definitely run. That's run, not sure about the rest of the heater. Right, okay, well that's interesting. As I say, there's not much to go in the heat exchanger on the outside. As I say, there's a few bits of flashing left over, and you can see the cast marks, but other than that, there's no big holes, blazingly obvious porosity, and that. It looks relatively good. Yes, right. Let's sit you there. Okay, I'm sorry, the slant cut on that heat exchanger, that's new. That is a new thing. It's exciting. I mean, I'm looking forward to putting it back together and actually running it now and running some tests. Yes, excellent. But we'll get to that. Let us, that's not 12, take off the fuel pump and have a look at a U-hole spinning thing. No, you're not. Happy days. Even better. There. Right, and here is our dumpy fuel pump. Well, it's a 2025 edition of it. 12 volt, 22 mil, but look at the size of it, it's tiny. As I said, wait, I've lost my other fuel pump. Where was the one I showed you? Was that one? Yeah, that way. Comparative size difference. The bottom one is a standard fuel pump. Look how dumpy it is. A little teeny tiny fuel pump. That's wild. I wonder if it's any quieter. Hopefully it's quieter. Quieter would be good. Right, well, that was the insides, and I'm impressed. I'm mostly impressed by the burn tube with the slant cut in it. Wonder how much that actually increases the efficiency. Is it the same length but just with a slant cut? No, it's slightly longer. As I say, this is an absolute bog standard 4 kilowatt burner, and that's the slanty one. And they don't go together. The slant cut is slightly longer, so it's gone. The slant is slightly shorter. If you know what I mean, the end. Wow, that's interesting. That's going to be interesting. Might even be a mod worth doing on normal heaters. Take your heat exchanger out, give it a slant cut, and then see how much more heat you get out of it by causing the hot gas to take a more convoluted route around the system. Right, I'm going to put all this back together and then we'll get to firing it up and running it and run some tests. Right, okay, firstly, before we get this running, I wanted to say I'm going to be using the mains to 12 volt power supply, and we've actually got a power supply with a fused plug in it. I've taken the red cover off, but it's actually got an actual 13 amp fused plug in the power supply, not like the previous versions with the horrible unfused plug. Do I have one here? You know the kind of the moulded plug that doesn't have the horrible little tiny moulded plug. It's got no fuse and 2 wires of much thinness, right? But this one has an actual proper fused plug. Right, that's in, that's on, that's lighting up. Smashing, says we've got 13 volts. I'm just going to peel the protective layer off of the screen so I can see it. That's nice. That's better. Right, so supposedly this heater has got a fast start. Word of note, I've already bled the fuel and run it, so this isn't like a first empty start. It's got a diesel in it, it's ready to go, so it's going to be a sort of timed first start. And while I'm sort of timing the start of it, I'm also going to film with the thermal camera. I want to film the the wires and the connections inside, just to make sure nothing's getting hot with the current draw, because I've seen in some other heaters, and I know other people experience problems where the connections aren't great and they heat up and the heater runs oddly or cuts out. So we're going to test that by seeing if any of that heats up. Where is... Right, so I'm going to time from when I press the button to... I know you can't see it, but I've got the power meter over there, so when it tells me it stopped drawing 100 and something watts, that's the glow plug cut out. So I'm going to count that as it thinks it's up and running and it's ready. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, start. Right, it has begun. Right, I'll just read out the wattage. 9 watts, 30 watts, 70 watts, 88 watts, 101 watts, 105, 105 watts, and I can see the wires starting to heat up. Well, there's a hot spot in that one, and it's not my reflection. That one's getting warm. That one's getting a little bit warm. Wait, how's the outer connection doing? Well, it's not bad, right? You can see the black fuse holder, this one, starting to heat up as well. The wires are getting warm. That one's getting pretty warm. This side's alright, the wires are heating up a little bit. Still pulling, we're up to 110 watts now, probably from the additional current of... No, sorry, the wire's heating up and providing additional resistance, so therefore drawing more current. Fuel pump has started now. That's a little bit warm. Those wires are... So definitely the hottest bit is in that multi-block plug, the big white plug in there. It's definitely, that's where the wires are the hottest, 30 odd degrees. These ones aren't too hot. What have we got? 20? So we're now up to 120 watts with the fuel pump and the fan starting to bring up. The hottest bit in there is 34 degrees. And 20. Okay, glow plug's gone off. So that's it. Running essentially. It's now just going to speed up. So it's got a pretty short start period. Like as I say, the glow plug is off now, so it's now just speeding up to full run. Hopefully these wires should now cool back down again. Yeah, so their temperature of the wires are starting to drop back down again. And the actual unit itself, it's up and it's hot. It's operational. Hot air is coming out, so it did the thing. Man, that plug's gone back down to a normal temperature. And the multi-plug's cooled down as well. Right, we've got the temperature target set up there and the thermometer, call it a thermometer, the thermocouple reading device back there. We've got the anemometer to measure the wind speed coming out of it. That'll give us a very rudimentary power output from here once I've done the mathematics. I've also got the carbon monoxide tester meter and the remote control, which is also supposed to show and shut off depending on the carbon monoxide level. So let us fire it up. Let's fire it up to maximum power. We'll let it start up, run, stabilise the temperature, and then I'll take readings then. I will bring you back once it is stabilised. Right, I've got the heater running at, well, full power for the moment. And I've got the remote control with the built-in carbon monoxide sensor and the cheap carbon monoxide sensor. I cannot get this to give me a single reading for carbon monoxide compared to this. Right, I got the carbon monoxide thing to work while I was testing there, but it didn't trigger until it was like really bad carbon monoxide. So I'm going to try and do the same thing again. Obviously we've got the normal carbon monoxide detector here and the black one is the remote control. Right, it's just starting up just now, so this is like going to be the worst carbon monoxide we can have is during startup, when it's not burning properly. So this read all the way from 2000 when it cut out, and it just kept going down and down and down and down, and it went all the way to zero. Like it's not like it stopped reading it like 500 or 100 or 10, it kept going all the way down. So I don't understand why it's not detecting. Like there's obviously carbon monoxide in here just now because we've been running a diesel here, but this is still showing zero. So it's obviously not that sensitive. Right, let's get some horrendous carbon monoxide readings. Right, so there she goes. This is going to go off the chart straight away, right? 1000. Oh, overreading. Right, so we'll bring this down into the stream. So this is well over what this sensor will even read. Granted, this one's round the wrong way, so. We'll point it round into the stream here. Oh, there you go, we've got a reading. 59. Nice, does work. 189. Obviously had it tuned too well previously. 207. I mean, it's working, it's reading. Also, my diesel here is not as bad this time because it started warm. Oh, they're wildly different readings. 5 versus 100. So this one's showing 100 and this one's back to showing 0 again. 4. Is this even in shot? No, none of that was in shot. Great. Oh, 150. Woohoo, 150 versus 600, 300, 600. It's hot in there. Ah! 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't know what its cut off is. Oh, I can hear beeping, it's alarming. Right, there we go. So it's hit its E11. You can see that. E11. And flashing, and it's got a very, very faint beep. And I'm holding this right on the microphone. It is a very faint beep. Now it'll tell the heater to turn off. Did it? Did it not stay in long enough? No, it came back down again. So we'll come down to safe level of under 500. Oh man, that exhaust is hot. I think I might have actually detuned mine too much. Yeah. Well, it did the thing, it showed me what the carbon monoxide like. So it does work. It does give a carbon monoxide reading, and it will turn the heater off if it sustains a terrible carbon monoxide reading. You can adjust it in the app on the phone. You can bring it down to trigger at a different level. But it does work. It is reading carbon monoxide in here. Thank goodness. I obviously had it too well tuned previously. So I've adjusted the tuning on the controller and made it bad, and now it detects the carbon monoxide levels in here. Good, right, so that works. It does work, and it does cut out. It did cut out previously when it was overreading. So this heater is supposed to be quieter than previous versions. Granted, I've got the top off it, but the fuel pump is pretty silent. Like over the roar of the exhaust, I can't hear the pump. I can feel it if I hold the actual body, but I can barely hear it. Let me take a microphone off and let you. The microphone. So from the back, obviously, everything you hear will have been edited, so it will sound louder than it really is. Like I can very faintly hear the exhaust pump. If I stick the microphone right in, you'll hear it. But it is a pretty quiet pump. Okay, let's do a bit of conclusion, things of note. I did the maths of the hot air output quantity calculation, and I got 3.7 kilowatts of heated output air. Take that with a pinch of salt, but it'll be round about that amount because you're measuring the air output speed, size and temperature roughly. So I mean, you could probably round them all down, maybe 3 and a bit kilowatts maybe of heated air output. That said, I don't have a quantity of how much fuel it put in to burn to get that amount of output, so you can't work out the efficiency, but it's not terrible. It's putting out nice hot air and it's doing the thing. It is relatively quiet. The little stubby fuel pump is pretty quiet in operation. I mean, if this was outside your tent, you probably wouldn't be able to hear the fuel pump over the rush of hot air and the exhaust. The remote control carbon monoxide alarm detector and turner offer of heater does work, but I would highly recommend getting the app and bringing it down from the 500 parts per million trigger that it's set way down to like 50. Yeah, a low number. There's no need for it to be 500 parts per million. Granted, if you're getting false, no, they're not so much false triggers, but if someone next to you has a campfire or some other sort of fuel burning device and it's wafting into your area and triggering it at too low a level, turn up a bit, but bear in mind that that is still carbon monoxide and you're still being poisoned by their carbon monoxide. A very worthy note is you can tune it. There is a setting in the settings and in the manual where you can enter the password and you can adjust the fueling parameters. You can't adjust the air speed. It just gives you a 1 to 10 option for the 10 power levels, but you can set the fueling on each of the 10 power levels, which is interesting. It's not just a minimum and a maximum. It lets you set a power level for, it lets you set a fuel quantity for each power level, so you can actually tune it for every single one of the power levels, which is an interesting way of doing it, I thought. I have already ruined my tuning already, and that's how I was testing the carbon monoxide thing, by getting it to burn horrendously badly and make lots and lots of carbon monoxide, but it got the things to detect carbon monoxide. I'll need to go back and retune it all again and get it back to being where it left the factory from, or perhaps even better than that, now I've badly tuned it. But yeah, all in all, we're improving. Everything is getting better. Like fused plugs, tunable ECU, being able to adjust the fueling nicely, well, better made than previous versions. It's got feet. It does actually, it's also got bracketry if you wanted to put brackets and feet on it. The only thing I would say is missing is some sort of heat wrap for the outside exhaust, because obviously once you've, hang on, let me zoom down a little bit. Like, that's just my little tiny stubby extension. So how hot is that? It's hot enough. Like, if you put that pipe on and onto the exhaust for camping, you've now got, this is not insulated, so if that's touching grass or anything, there's a potential fire risk. So ideally you would want the whole exhaust wrapped in some sort of thermal bandage or thermal sleeving. Do I have a bit of thermal sleeving here to show you? Like that kind of thing, what I've bought from, I think it was Amazon, it's silicone coated glass fibre sleeving you can buy, and you can put it over your exhaust and stop things catching fire. That is rated for the hot, how hot the exhaust is. There's different versions of it. Get the hottest one you can get to protect the exhaust. But yeah, all in all, it seems to be a pretty decently made little toolbox here. Not that it's really toolbox styled anymore, as I say, it's more like a little portable power station, but it does the thing. It does the thing. If you have any comments, questions, anything like that, please leave them down below. I'll try my very best to answer them. And as always, thanks for watching.